This is Mitch, and welcome to the 1000houses.com podcast. I have Angela Kristen Taylor on the line, and I feel like a fool because she coached me a long time ago back in my lost and wandering days to help get me straightened out, and she did a fine job, but she had a different name. And anyways, she's progressed in her life too. She's now happily married. And anyways, I'm very happy to have her here. Angela, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Mitch. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I just kind of lit up after I finally when I put two and two together, and I apologize. When you go changing your name on someone and you've talked to them on the phone a lot, but you've never really.
Sure.
So let me pay the bills here real quick. This podcast is brought to you by taxfreefuture.com. You have no idea what your financial advisors are not telling you. We're going to tell you what they're not telling you, and we're going to tell you why they're not telling you, and then you can do with what you want with this information. But it has everything to do with self-directed 401ks, IRAs, health savings plans, educational savings plans, and basically tax-deferred or tax-free retirement plans. Please go there, watch the 37 little video vignettes, and you will be amazed at the size of this tool that you can put in your tool belt. Just got to study a little. All right, I did it. I paid the bills, Angela. So
Good job.
You're sitting in Flowery
Branch,
Georgia.
I am.
All right, I love Georgia. Georgia and Texas have the same real estate laws. Now, the Texans will tell you that Georgia copied us, and then the Georgian will tell you that the Texans copied them, but it really doesn't matter. So the same foreclosure process. But we're not here really to talk about real estate necessarily. We're trying to talk to all us screwed up entrepreneurs, ADD, what do you call it? ADD, OCD, which really should be CDO if you're going to do it right. It's got to be in alphabetical order. If
Absolutely.
Anyways, so where do we start? So let's talk about the main subject here, productivity.
Sure.
And that's what we don't have any trouble staying busy as entrepreneurs. The problem is, what are we producing? Are we just filling up time and we're just doing busy work? Or are we really doing what makes the money?
Yeah.
So how do you start out this conversation on productivity?
Well, the thing about productivity that a lot of entrepreneurs miss out on is that, just like you said, people are busy, and they're not necessarily producing. And when they stop being busy, they're fearful that if I stop doing, then I'll stop earning. And that's actually the opposite of what's true. And so, with entrepreneurs, I've found, and I've been working in the real estate industry for 27 years now, and I've been coaching for 17 years. So what I've found in entrepreneurs, sales professionals specifically, is that when you run into productivity problems, you're typically running into issues from your past. So productivity is rooted in emotion, and how you feel on the inside directly correlates to how you perform on the outside. So entrepreneurs typically have chosen that path for a reason. And the reason typically relates to their past in the sense of, if they are coming out of their childhood saying, I didn't have control over anything that happened to me. I wasn't happy with how my childhood went. And now I want to be in control. I want freedom. I don't want anybody to tell me what I'm worth, or how much I can earn, or what I have to do, or when I have to be there, or any of that. Then I'm going to do things on my own, in my own way. But what happens is they get stuck in what I call the clutter cycle. And what that is all this emotional clutter. Everything that we've experienced in our lives is sitting in our subconscious like little dirty piles of laundry that we're kind of trailing behind us. We push it down and say, well, that's the past. I'm moving forward. I'm beyond that. This is me now. But because we haven't really processed it or dealt with it, we still are triggered by those events. And so that emotional clutter manifests itself in our lives as physical clutter. So this is when we are constantly feeling like we need to stay busy. So we kind of attract a lot of chaos into our lives by being nonstop, go, 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 overbook ourselves, don't give ourselves any time for like quiet time, me time, rejuvenation time. We're just constantly going, going, going. And oftentimes, because they're so focused on, I need this tool, I need this program, I need this something to fix me, fix my chaos, fix my disorganization, then they go into financial clutter where they don't know what they're spending or what they have or what they don't have. And then that leads them to a feeling of overwhelm and eventual shutdown because they're just going all the time. And when they shut down, then they get to a spot where they're like, well, I can't just stop. I need to keep going. I need to keep earning. And so they go back into physical clutter and say, I need this planner. I need this tool. I need this coach. I need this program, this whatever that's going to fix the problem. When in reality, the problem is the emotional clutter that started off this entire cycle. That's the root of the productivity problem.
How do you decide what the clutter is? Like, how do you, as a coach, get to the bottom of what the clutter is?
Well, actually, that part's actually pretty easy because when people book like an introductory session with me to talk to me, I have a form in the appointment scheduler, and the form asks specific questions about their life now, about their business now, about their childhood and their past. And when they answer those questions, I find that I'm able to see the pattern. And that way, when we do get on our call, I'm able to address that pattern and dig into it right away and help them connect the dots between what happened then and what's happening now.
It's amazing to me how many things go back to our childhood. I'm not even well studied in this, but I can see the older I get, and I'm old, okay, I start to see how people's childhoods are still with them, even in their 50s and their 60s. Some of it, you would be really embarrassed if they saw themselves like they're still talking about this thing 40 years later, or 50 years later, they're still, and it is a driver. I see that too. Or it can go both ways. It can make you quit or give up, or it can drive you. It depends on what kind of person you are. I have always preferred to make my problems or the things I don't like, to make them my angst. Like I'll show you, you son of a bitch. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's really how most entrepreneurs take it.
Yeah, hold my beer and watch this.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got me thinking about my childhood. I'm wondering why? Because I had the most perfect childhood on the planet. I thought.
Well, it doesn't. This is the thing that I found is that it doesn't have to be an intentional thing. So, for instance, I've worked with people who said, I had a horrific childhood, and they describe horrible traumas, all kinds of abuse, and it's very dark, very negative. And then I've talked to people who say, you know what, I had a great childhood, I had perfect parents. Okay, great. So what's going on? Well, for instance, I had one real estate agent who she was struggling with being seen and being heard, and feeling like, everybody's talking about social media and video and all these different marketing tools to build your audience, build your business. And she wanted to do those things, but the thought of doing them just was terrifying for her. And this is a beautiful woman. You'd never think she'd have a problem with that. And come to find out that, her childhood wasn't difficult. But she had an older brother that used to pick on her all the time and tell her she was fat and ugly and stupid and nobody wanted to hear what she had to say. And that alone was enough to create problems in how she was marketing herself and her business.
Wow.
So it doesn't have to be an intentional thing. It could just be a jerk of a sibling, which is just an older brother being an older brother. I had one who was...
He didn't mean to screw up her whole life.
No, not at all. He's just being an older brother. But I had one who just had a father who, nothing was ever good enough. It was like, if you didn't bring home that A++, then you failed, And so for her, it was this feeling of perfectionism. If I don't get it done perfectly, then I shouldn't even try. I shouldn't even put anything out there if it's not going to be 100% perfect. And so that stopped her several times throughout her life. And so, it's overcoming the perfectionism and realizing that, you put something out there and that's how you perfect it. And so there's a lot of different things that can affect us. It doesn't have to be dark trauma. It can be, certainly can be, but it doesn't have to be. It can just be normal daily life.
So I caught on probably in my late 20s, just in case I've been throwing this out there. So I'm 59, just in case anybody's wondering. I've been making comments about being old and throwing my age around. So this is...
Hey, you're not that much older than I am.
So around 28, I learned through a circumstance something I was really afraid of, and I really bolstered up and said, give me all of that. And they said, what? This thing. They said, well, why do you want all that? And I said, because I'm afraid of it. And they gave it all to me. And like within a day and a half, I had whipped its ass. It's like it was no problem anymore. And it was like, I was ashamed. I was like embarrassed that I was even afraid of it. Why in the hell was I afraid of that? Because I didn't know it. I learned a long time ago that if you get nose to nose with your dragons, that they tend to shrink, or you tend to grow, or I don't know, maybe a little bit of both.
Absolutely.
And they just are not that big a problem. And the biggest thing I recognized was that overwhelming action conquers fear. I mean, being still and being afraid is a horrible place to be.
Absolutely.
So figure out some way to go forward and address the fear and get active and start attacking the fear and be on the move. All of a sudden, like my deal is, I want to be so busy trying to figure out how to beat this fear that I don't have time to be fearful. And I don't know where I got that from. Maybe it's from all the little things and the people like you that come in my life that who knows how we get where we get, right? But I think peace has a part, just like your childhood has a part, positive or negative. I think the people that we meet, the people that we choose to engage, the people that we choose to believe or follow or listen to. So that's why coaches are so important. And I want to ask you, what is it about entrepreneurs that's different than, why are they entrepreneurs?
Yeah. It does come from that experience, that what you said, hold my beer and watch this, that they have this need to prove themselves, to say, I'm better than what happened to me, or I'm not who you think I am. I'm this. Or, for me, one of the reasons that drove me into being self-employed was when I was a kid, my parents always came home and complained about their jobs and how miserable they were and how much they hated their lives. And to me, I thought, I am not going to do that. That is not going to be me. And so I wanted to go out there and do something that I was passionate about, that I loved. So for me, my entire life, I bought my first house when I was 19, and by the time I was 22, I owned 4 homes, and I was renting them out, fixing them up, and moving forward. And I loved every second of it. And that's what got me into real estate. But
did you ever get jealous?
What?
Did your parents ever get jealous?
No. In fact, my parents constantly tried to pull me in to their lifestyle, telling me that I needed to give up this dream and I needed to, go get a real job, and the thing is that, I love my parents, don't get me wrong, but they tried to take me off of my path because they felt like my path was insecure. It wasn't realistic. And so I had to fight very hard to keep doing what I was doing and live this, in their mind, was a very risky career in life. And honestly, it has been. You know, I've had ups and downs. I've had times when I had no money and times when I had tons of money, right?
The people that had jobs didn't have any ups and downs, getting laid off or getting fired or getting a crappy boss. So
of course they
ups
did.
and downs, doesn't matter which way you go. It's going to happen to you one way or the other.
It does. But there's this false sense of security with I'm following the tried and true path. And I didn't do that, you know? And so it does set us apart as entrepreneurs, that we have this desire, this passion inside of us that comes from something, right? Either from something in our childhood or something that's just born inside of us, where we have this drive to go out there, to achieve, to succeed, to be passionate, and to live our lives in our terms.
So you may be pointing out something. I've always wondered, can you learn to be an entrepreneur, or do you have to be born with it? And you might be suggesting something in the middle, as you can be driven towards it probably at any point in your life because of some kind of something so uncomfortable or so distressing to you that you feel like it's because I was an entrepreneur my whole life, but I was never very successful. I was learning that it took 2 years to get any business off the ground, basically. And I thought when you started businesses, you would know right away if they were profitable or not. And so I was starting and quitting a lot because they weren't producing, you know, and I had it figured out that they take a little time to get some wind under their wings. And then I hit a glass ceiling working for people, and I just took having a job off the table and forced myself to see what you would do. But do you think entrepreneurs are born, or they can learn to be, people can learn to be entrepreneurs?
I think it could be both. I think it could be both. I feel like for me, I don't know which it was. I don't know if I was born this way or if it was something I was driven to through hearing my parents complain. But I have seen people that I've worked with personally that, you know, they had corporate jobs for a long time and then had a layoff or had something that took their security away. Their feeling of I thought I was on this tried and true path, and that I had this job and I was secure and my life was certain. And then I faced uncertainty and insecurity. And I figured if I had to take this risk and it was out of my control, then I was going to take a risk that was in my control. And that's what drives them towards productivity, or not towards productivity, but towards entrepreneurship. It's always a need to control your own environment. So at whatever point in your life you get to that.
As if we can control anything.
No.
No, but we like to feel like we can control something, but we're.
Yes.
So are you a born entrepreneur, or are you driven? Were you driven to be an entrepreneur?
I don't know. I don't know, because my parents, listening to them happen so much so early on in my life. I remember being 5 years old and my mom taking me to work with her on a Saturday because she couldn't get out of it. And she worked at it was Sunbank at the time, but SunTrust now. And she ran the check sorter machine. And I remember sitting on the edge of it and waiting for her to finish and her complaining the whole time. So was I born with it? I don't know. It happened so early on in my life that I was hearing that and recognizing that I didn't like that and that I didn't want to be that it drove me my entire life to not do that.
I was born with it, and I think I was born with it. I was figuring out how to make a buck ever since I could remember. So before I could remember. And but it sure helps to have the drive. Some of the things that drove me, like what really pushed me over the edge is I got left for a very wealthy gentleman rancher one day, and I would have left for him too if I was her. I mean, God Almighty, this guy had a lot of money and had a lot of fun in a lot of ranches, and like shit, I couldn't even get mad at her.
Take me too, right?
But I looked in the mirror and just said, that's never going to happen again. And I don't
Yeah,
care. I don't care what it takes. I don't care.
exactly.
I'll sleep on the floor. I'll eat beans. But one thing that had to happen, and let's talk about this. I think everybody has a group of people, just like your parents. They're trying to hold you into what they think you are, who they thought you were, and sometimes to get away from that, you've got to get away from them. Mm-hmm. And I made this decision early on that if you weren't backing me, then you were out. Now, if I loved you, then you were just set aside for the minute. I got to put you over here because I got to get away from you because I got to go get this.
That's exactly right.
But if I didn't particularly, if you weren't important to me, then you were just gone. I'd just strike you off the list, and I didn't care if I ever heard from you again. I don't throw away your phone number. I don't care. And I was pissed. I was really pissed at myself, at me. And so, but I did learn that I was going to have to draw a lot of lines, and I was going to have to keep people out and then only let certain people in till I got where I was going. How you see this a lot?
I do see that a lot. And I understand what you say about kind of like, I love you, but I'm going to put you over here for a little while, kind of create some separation. But what I've found is that there are people who want to bring you down, right? And then there are people who need a shining example of what's possible. And so when you talk about the people like you're gone, you're done, I'm done with you, type of thing, you have to separate that group into people who want to come with you or people who don't want to come with you. And so, and that's for them to decide. It's not for you to decide, but it's you saying, I'm going here and you're welcome to tag along.
That's exactly what I said. That's exactly said.
Yeah.
I am going on a path, and anyone who wants to come with me can go. But if you don't want to come with me, then get off my train, because this train is in a track. It's not going to, and I don't care how bad it is. I was livid, pissed at myself, and it served me well. She still doesn't know how great it was, but one of these days, and then also my wife was not an entrepreneur. My God, we got married within 30 days and I had $250,000 worth of credit card debt I was trying to hide from her. I got into about one day after we got married, and because I was buying houses with credit cards. Of course, I had $500,000 worth of free and clear houses, but trying to explain that to someone who's not an entrepreneur. And that you were hiding it from. So that, it only took me 30 days to figure out that you don't hide crap from your wife. That she's gonna.
No, no, but you know what? It is a delicate path that you walk when you are in a relationship with someone who doesn't understand that mentality. And so, my husband and I have a great relationship, and he is definitely more that company man kind of guy. And he has a great job. He works for a wonderful company, and they're amazing, and they love him, right? So his job is very secure. However, he sees what I do as extremely risky, and it makes him nervous all the time. But he sees the results of it, and he believes in me, and he has faith in me, and he knows that even if I had every client I had drop off the face of the planet and have no income all of a sudden, he knows I could recreate it in a second. And he believes in my ability, but that took time. That took time for him to get to know that. Like you said with your wife, you got married in 30 days. We moved in together 3 weeks after we met. It was just this instant bond and connection. It was wonderful. But he didn't really know what he was getting himself into yet.
Oh no. My wife thought I was nuts. I mean, she really thought I have married a freaking psycho and he's gonna take me down. He wanted me for my money, even though she really didn't have any money.
Sure.
And when I coach people, that's one of the questions I ask: is your spouse on board or not on board? Like they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to be a real estate investor. One of the first questions is your spouse on board or not? Because about 50% of the time, the spouse is not on board.
Yeah.
It's a scary place, so you have to do everything different because you have to I call it, we have to get some hush money in the bank. It's like, honey, I just made more than you make in a year. Now, hush, hush. Just be quiet for a minute. Watch me work, okay? My wife was screaming at me, you don't have a job. You need a job. I said, honey, I made more last month than you made in the whole year. Why do what is the problem? I mean, I got 12 months to make another check.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing is you have to look, just like we're talking about how our productivity is driven by emotion, right? That we have to realize that someone else's productivity is also driven by emotion, and that their reasoning for not being an entrepreneur is just as powerful as our reasons for being an entrepreneur. And so their thoughts of what we do is like we are their worst nightmare in a lot of ways.
That's very interesting because
we're not consistent.
That's real interesting because her father died at 8 when she was 8. Her mother died when she was 21. She had 2 men defect on her and leave her with 2 kids, you know. So like she spent her whole life just trying to make the rent payment, or you know what I mean? Just trying to make sure I had enough to, you know, buy groceries.
Mm-hmm. And so that's the thing is here today, gone tomorrow. You see what I'm saying? So here today, gone tomorrow, she's seeing that in your income. Like, yes, there's money there now, but what happens when it's gone? What happens? What if you can't reproduce this same result? What happens then? It's not a consistent, steady, guaranteed thing. And even though, like we said, a job is not that either, a lot of people see a job as that. And then they see, well, if I lose that job, I can always get another one and have another consistent paycheck I can count on coming in the door. But what they don't see is that an entrepreneur can create loads of income in a small amount of time. And maybe it's not consistent, but there's enough there to last until the next paycheck rolls in.
And when you paint them in a corner, they'll come out and go find it.
Yeah, so, exactly.
You know, let me show you something here.
Okay.
This is really a big problem for my spouse, being an entrepreneur, and I'd like to stay on it because I know it's a big problem out there for a lot of people. She would call me. It's like, what are you doing? I'm getting ready to go to lunch. She'd call me. It's 2 o'clock. I said, what are you doing? I'm about to finish lunch. She's been at lunch for 3 friggin' hours. You know, I mean, like she's livid. Like, you've been at lunch for 3 hours. I said, you know, you don't work. And I said, you don't understand what I do.
Yeah.
Guys are worth millions of dollars, you know.
Yeah.
I need money to operate. They need a return on their money. It could be a fit.
Yeah.
It's not about eating, sweetheart. It's about like getting to know each other and
building a relationship.
It takes more than 30 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
So when I put out my first book, I wrote this quote from James Mitchell. You may have heard it, but many of you may have not. She said, after she read this quote in the book, when the book was out, she said, for the first time in my life, I think I may understand you. And this is what she read. She said, the master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his information and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever it is he does, leaving others to decide whether he is working or playing. To him, he is always doing both.
Absolutely.
And the reason that's in there is I finally understood myself when I read that, because I can't tell when I'm working or playing. Is this fun, what we're doing right now?
Absolutely.
To me, this is fun. I would like to talk to you and have this conversation whether I don't know, was on Zoom or not. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Am I learning? Yeah. Am I working? Definitely. It's an appointment that we both have to do, and we're doing this for monetary reasons in the end, right?
Sure.
We're trying to help people, but it has a monetary function. Exposure and out there. So that's the whole life. And that really, as an entrepreneur, to launch a business, you have to work 14, 16 hours a day, typically in the beginning. Now, there's some anomalies, people that don't have to do that, I don't know. But I've always figured you got to put in some extra time up front. If you begrudge those hours, you're not going to make it because you have to put in too many hours up front. It's too long. But if you're the kind of person who's so passionate about what you're doing that you look up and go, damn, it's 9:30 at night. I started at 6:30. Where did the day go?
Yeah.
Then you're in the right place because you're able to put in the hours and they don't seem like drudgery. Because you're highly passionate about it.
Exactly.
It can be mixed between you're shooting for something or a certain monetary thing, and I just love what I do. I mean, I didn't wake up one morning and say, I want to buy and fix up houses. What a glorious life that would be. But I saw with some big-ass paycheck, I said, you know what? I think I can do that. Then I got good at it, and I fell in love with it because it paid really good to be in love with it.
Yeah.
We have to trick ourselves sometimes, don't we?
Well, if you look at, go back to that quote, if you look at what an entrepreneur does for fun, you'll see that it's different from what a working person does for fun. Okay. So working person for fun, they'll sit around the house and, maybe clean up or, work in the garden or have a hobby of some sort, right? Something. But for us, our work is our hobby oftentimes.
We'll go to a 3-day seminar.
We'll go to a seminar. We'll read books. We'll, and we might read books while we're laying in a hammock in the woods somewhere, but we're curating our entire experience. And to us, our experience is the life that we're building. It's literally curating an entire life. And our passion is what drives it. But for them, it's like their work is what they have to do to pay the bills, and everything else is what they get to do to relax from that work.
That's funny because
we don't need that relax in the same way.
We don't need to relax. We just need to change gears, right? I need a different setting. But like I told my wife, I'm thinking because the other day I said, let's go on vacation. I want to finish writing my book.
Yeah.
Now, she doesn't flinch anymore at that. But a person with a job would go, well, why would you go on vacation to write a book about your work?
Because you need to decompress so you can let that energy flow. Yeah.
So let's talk about, you're giving away a 5-day challenge to become more productive.
Yes.
This is what you specialize in. You help people become more productive by figuring out where their clutter is, right?
Exactly.
It's raining really hard here. Can you hear it?
No, not at all.
Good. I have a metal roof, so I thought, well, geez.
No, I can't hear it.
So if you guys are interested in taking this 5-day challenge, I hear it's live right now, but it will be evergreen. I want you to go to 1000houses.com and /productivity, PRODUCTIVITY, and take the 5-day challenge. Figure out where your clutter's at and what's caused it and how you're going to clean it up. Get a little help from Angela. And she also does some private coaching. She was my coach a very long time ago when I was very, very, very lost. I'm not sure I've ever quite found myself, but I'm getting really close. Because right when you start to get familiar with your surroundings, you dump yourself into another place that you don't have any idea what.
Constantly up-leveling.
Absolutely. I don't know what you do if you don't do that. My theory is if you're not doing that, you're dying. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, but see, that is the working man's life. That's the working man's life, is that they are not up-leveling. They're staying consistent. Their concept of an up-level is a job promotion that they may or may not get. And
they may not even want it. More work with less
pay. Exactly. And there's rarely passion associated with it. The passion is what they do nights and weekends, if they have time.
Yeah.
And
so also tell us about this co-working space that you're developing.
Oh, that's really exciting.
Because it sounds like a way for me to offload or dump some of my crap.
Well, it's really exciting. So you know how entrepreneurs oftentimes are working independently. They're working on their own. They don't especially when they're starting out, or even sometimes when they're really successful, they don't have a whole team around them. They don't have that support. And
we're all a one-man show at one point, or we think
exactly.
we don't have any money, so we don't feel like we can hire anybody. It should be exactly the opposite, or find somebody who works on commission, but we don't. So
Exactly. And so, but there's a desire to work in our own space, right? We want to work from home. We don't necessarily want to have to go out there and fight traffic and be part of a commute. And that's stressful. That's one of the reasons we don't have a day-to-day job, and so we don't have to do that. And so co-working co-working centers have popped up all over the world, and they've given space for entrepreneurs to work together, to feel like they have support around them, so that there's other people around them and they're not lonely sitting at home by themselves. And oftentimes they struggle being at home and getting work done. But the thing is that there's this desire to be around other people when we're an entrepreneur. We want a team around us. We want support. We want people to talk to. We want people to say, hey, can you look at this? What do you think about this email subject line? Or, what do you think about this video I created? Or what do you like my logo? What do you think? These are 3 different logos my logo designer created. What do you think? Which one looks best, right? And we don't have people to go to for that. Now, a lot of coaches have sprung up over the years who create these year-long programs that are $12,000 and up, that give entrepreneurs a support group, basically. And they pay that money to be part of a support group just so they can be part of a Facebook group and have training and things that they typically don't take part in. And then they just want to be part of the group. But then when the year is over, the group is over, and now they got to start over again. And so what I built is I partnered with a software company that has a virtual campus, and we have a private space in there. So we have basically it looks like the floor of an office, and we have 36 private offices, 2 boardrooms, 2 big meeting rooms, a reception desk, a bunch of common area sofas and things in the middle. And it's like a video game. So, in a video game, you've got your little guy, right? You dress him up and then you take him through some fantasy world or something, right? I'm not a video gamer, but this is exactly the same, except for you're walking into an office floor. And here are coaches, 6 different coaches, different types of coaches, all geared towards helping you with all of these aspects of productivity and emotion and life and business and all of this.
So you can say, okay, I'm going to walk into Bill's office, and then you walk in there and you have a conversation.
Yeah. You turn your microphone on, you have a conversation. You're like, hey, can you take a look at this email I wrote, or this sales page I wrote? You're like, sure, put it up on the screen. And there's a screen on the wall, and you upload it right there. You share your screen, or you get on your video and you show them what you're talking about, and they can see it right there with you. And then aside from having the different coaches in there, we also have a team of service professionals, like your logo designer, graphic designer, podcast producer, virtual assistants, and marketing specialists, and brand strategists, and all these different people in there that are the team that you need when you don't have a team, And then there's classes and workshops and trainings and all of this stuff in this space. And we created it so that entrepreneurs can have a space where they can still be in their homes, but psychologically there's this, I am at work now. I am in this space. I am working. And they have focused, dedicated time to work. They have a place where they can get support, whether that's coaching or a service professional to put another pair of eyes on something, whatever they need. And then they have the support of all these other people who are like-minded, passionate, driven, entrepreneurial people who are in this space with them that they can talk to, have a conversation. And we made it so that it's affordable enough for people to make it part of their everyday business, part of their business model, not something that's a year program and then it's over.
I think it sounds incredibly interesting. Heaven only knows how it might have helped me if they'd have had this back then, because I needed some kind of environment to to ask questions from professionals. And I didn't even
Yeah.
know, the internet wasn't what it was. But today, we can have these professionals all over the globe, you know?
Absolutely. One of our coaches is actually in South Africa. So she's in there, and she's,
You know, especially when it comes to things like VAs, there's people from the Philippines and India and all these places. They can be in this office too. I think it sounds wonderful. What you say affordable, and I always like to preface if we talk price, you may or may not want to, and if you don't want
that's
to.
fine.
But no, that's today's price. You know, it's June 2020. We have the right to change our price anytime we want. I mean, it might go up.
Thank you for the disclaimer.
Who knows? But today, what are you thinking about charging for this? Or what do you think it's going to be?
Yeah, we have 3 tiers of membership. So the first tier of membership starts at $247 a month. So it's very affordable, gives them access to absolutely everything except for private coaching. If they want private coaching, they can go up to tier 2 or tier 3, depending on how much coaching they want. And if they wanted a private coaching session every single month, that's our tier 3. And they would also get these Go Deep Masterminds, which are small groups, along with private coaching every month. And that's less than $550 a month. So very affordable.
Tier 3?
Tier 3. Mm-hmm.
So it goes from 247
to 547.
550, and I mean that's very affordable.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you can't get a coach and make back $550, you know, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, this you'd actually get 6 coaches, but yeah.
Even worse. So. Okay, well, anything I should ask you or add before we maybe wrap it up? Did I get through it okay?
Yeah, I think you did a great job. Thank you so much.
I ask when I get off into some realm I really don't know that well. I'm not.
Well, I'll tell you this. One thing that I want to make sure that everybody who's listening to this really understands is that productivity is rooted in emotion. And so if you feel like you're too busy, you're stressed out, you're disorganized, your life is full of chaos, then you need to look at the emotions that are driving your productivity. And then you need to look at your energy, your time, and your tools. And those are the 3 most important parts of driving your productivity to the right place. Because it's one thing to be busy and it's another thing to be productive. And in order to truly be productive, you have to combine work time with downtime. If you're not getting enough downtime, which is hard for us as entrepreneurs, but if you're not getting enough downtime, you're not going to be as productive or efficient.
Absolutely. I agree. A point of diminishing returns, right?
Absolutely.
Work an extra 2 hours. Well, if you're not worth anything in the last 2 hours, then you're just wasting
It's not helping you. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So take the 5-day challenge to become more productive, 1000houses.com/productivity. And also, check out the upcoming co-work space and raise your hand to be informed when that comes along if you think you might need that. Man, what a great place to be if you're a one-man show. To have 6 coaches or, it's probably with referrals and everything these people know, it's probably pretty limitless. I mean, so check it out, 1000houses.com/productivity. I'd like to thank taxfreefuture.com for sponsoring this episode. You won't believe what your financial advisors aren't telling you. If you need a self-directed IRA or 401k, or if you need to self-direct your current tax-deferred or tax-free retirement plan, then check it out. There's 37 little video vignettes there that will teach you a bunch that's not talked about, typically when we talk about this subject. All right, taxfreefuture.com. I appreciate you, Angela. Thank you so much. Thanks for being my coach a long time ago.
You're welcome.
We'll have to catch up sometime and tell you how far I went with all that information that you hit me with.
Yeah, sounds good.
I appreciate you for being on.
Well, thank you, Mitch. Thanks for having me here. Take care.
All right.